My goal is to, as I suggested, not make Charlie's life a fight. In my life, in my inbox, and people I know, there's a lot of anger, and I just want to frame this up not to have a fight, but to try to produce understanding. There is no Charlie Kirk of the left, and I talk to Charlie about that quite a bit whenever I talk to him, and I think it's something the Democrats don't appreciate very much. Part of why Gavin Newsom wanted Charlie on his show because he's one of the Democrats smart enough to realize they need that. But if there were a Charlie Kirk on the left, and he had been or she had been killed yesterday, don't know who did it, but if that person had been killed, the media coverage would be different, and the politicians' statements would be different. The statements wouldn't be, "We all need to lower the temperature," which we do. The statements would be about the evil ideology that caused that person to be killed. Okay, that's just a disparity, and it's factual. So my question to you, first, Sean, then Dan, is what can we do to allow the left to see why there's so much anger? Not just at Matthew Dowd, but I know there's anger coming on the right. I know there is, and it will be less dangerous, less volatile if the left can understand why people who loved Charlie and believed in Charlie are so upset. So, Sean, can you take a try at explaining why people are so angry about what's happened? So people on the left can adjust to it and understand it and maybe reach back out in a way that will lessen the degree of anger that's about to come.
Yeah, and I got to say I'm one of these people. I am conflicted because I'm sad for Charlie and his family and what happened, but I'm pissed. And as a Christian, I don't know how to reconcile that sometimes. But I agree with you because this is going to get and not in a violent way, but I think I'm tired of watch my language here. I'm tired of the left, the rhetoric. This is Charlie. Charlie was like a friend, and again, there's a whole personal piece to this that's one thing, but what he symbolized was a movement. What he did uh, in leading this movement and putting himself out there can't be overstated. I mean, like this is, I mean, to your point, this is an enigma. As much as Donald Trump was an enigma and a unicorn as a candidate, Charlie was as an organizer, as an activist. This violence in all of its forms is wrong. But when you go after Donald Trump and try to kill him twice, and they go after, they're not just going after people who are active, they're going after the leaders of movements and trying to stop them. Not just stop the people, but the movement. And that's the big difference here. Violence and extremism and craziness is one thing. But when you're trying to silence Trump and you're trying to silence Charlie Kirk, you're not just going after them personally, you're going after the entire movement. And I don't think that people fully appreciate that. And the last thing I'll say, and then kind of keep the conversation going, is this is not one person, one thing, one month. This has been manifesting for decades. The left silencing, censoring, canceling people didn't just happen with the rise of Donald Trump. Since I've been in college, my college commencement speaker was canceled because a group of people thought that his positions on certain issues were unacceptable. And I don't think, to your point in understanding why this happens, is it's not, we have been told to shut up. We have been canceled, censored for decades. And it's time that this is going to change.
Dan, I talked to more than a few Democrats yesterday who had heard of Charlie Kirk. They know who he is. They knew some of what he did. But two things struck me in every one of the conversations. They don't appreciate how significant he was as a force for the movement, but they don't appreciate the bond that people in MAGA have towards him, not just the president, the vice president, whose bonds are quite substantial, but kids all over the country. Some who've met him, some who hadn't, some who are MAGA and some who are not. They do not understand how this young man was able to reach so many people in an emotional way. They're acting like some Republican operative got killed And we don't know who did it, so how upset can we be? They do not understand, and that's part of what I think they have to understand because they don't have you don't have it. You don't have anybody like Charlie Kirk. Not that you don't have leaders and operatives who are skillful, but the bond he had with so many people is, I think, something the left they need to acknowledge it more. And I read everything and watched so much overnight. I do not see liberals in the media understanding this bond and how important that is. Dan.
Well, there's
And
two
just to
things.
be clear, sorry, I'm not being critical because they don't know.
Well,
What I'm asking
definitely
them,
sounds like you're being
I'm not being
critical.
critical. I want them to, well,
I'll
my
just
point is
say,
I want them to understand because if they understand, they'll be more respectful about
but
what people
Mark,
on the
I
right are
think
going through.
though that where you're missing the mark is I get who Charlie Kirk is, and I have tremendous respect for him, had tremendous respect for him. All four of our kids, I said this yesterday, texted after school saying, "Did you hear about Charlie Kirk? Is he going to be all right?" They're totally apolitical. I don't think people on the right know who most left operatives are, generally speaking, right? That doesn't mean Charlie Kirk is not a huge influential figure that people are going to in the coming days learn what significance he had to the movement, to the president, to MAGA. And I think I don't begrudge the party and the real lives of real people not knowing who Charlie Kirk is. So in terms of the immediate reaction,
I'm not, Dan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not begrudging it. What I'm saying is you're about to see unleashed an extraordinary amount of anger.
I
Okay.
hear you, Mark.
And part of it is the callousness with which people on the left, it's callous because of its ignorance.
Well, Mark, that's
You gotta appreciate it. You have to
I
appreciate it.
look, we're going to disagree about. I don't fault people for ignorant. They don't know. And I think what's heartbreaking and tragic about this, guys, is we could turn on the TV this morning, and if AOC were shot, would any of us have been shocked? Donald Trump's attempts on his life, people shooting at the CDC, Paul Pelosi being attacked. It's heartbreaking. It's tragic. He's a huge figure. But one of the things that's so sad about this is it's not shocking the last 5 years, the increasing intensity that every election, the other side is an existential threat to the world, that they're scum, that they're Hitler, that they have to be defeated. We talk about it on this show, right? And so I'm heartbroken. As you said, Mark, we don't even know who did it. We both assume that the reason whoever targeted Charlie Kirk is because he's political. I assume that the person who went after Paul Pelosi did it because he's married to Nancy Pelosi. I just assume that, right? And so it's hard. It's a terrible event. And I hope that what comes out of this is people learn who Charlie was and what an amazing contributor he was to politics. But to say, as I've heard from people, as we heard from the president last night, that the left, both sides' intensity is out of control. It is.
So if I just one thing that's unique about Charlie that I want to make sure people understand, I mean, and it's been said, so this is me kind of regurgitating some other better people. We have figures on both sides that are, I mean, whether it's AOC or Rachel Maddow on the left, that are loud voices, influential voices. Two things about Charlie. One, he led a movement. It wasn't that he just actually, I mean, to your point, my kids were in the same boat. When they came home, they were like, "Did you hear about Charlie?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, this is they. I didn't believe, I couldn't believe the level of age that he transcends. But secondly, and this is the thing, the why, right? So take your Rachel Maddow and your AOC on your side and pick Glenn Beck and Tucker on ours. Okay, fine. Unbelievable influential voices, but neither of them lead a real movement. I mean, in terms of what Charlie's doing on campuses. But here's the other thing, the why. What was he doing on campus? Literally saying, challenge me, come up, let's have a conversation, let's have a dialogue, let's do this stuff. This is what we do every day to try to say, let's have a discussion about stuff. He literally brought people into the fold and said, tell me why I'm wrong. What do you disagree with me about? I'll give you the microphone. I'll let you speak unencumbered. That's just a different animal. I mean, there are, like you said, there are people that are doing horrible things. A lot. I mean, we had Gretchen Whitmer attacked on your side, Josh Shapiro, the governor, but this is an attack on a movement.
I hear you that he is a incredibly influential figure within the movement. I hear you on that. I just think that this has been building in our politics to where both sides paint the other as they have to be stopped.
That was a delicious video experience. I think you'll agree. Now, what you need to do in return for getting to enjoy that is hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a thing.